Hello, good evening. My name is Amy Shapiro. I'm here with my husband, Jeffrey Olenick. Welcome to our living room. Good Yontif, Chag Sameach, and Happy Passover. Welcome to our Seder for the evenings of March 27th and 28th, 2021. Why is this Seder different from all other Seders? This year there is a plague in the world named COVID-19. This year, coronavirus has forced us to stay home to wait for this modern-day angel of death to pass over our houses. In every other year, Jeff and I have been fortunate to share the Passover celebration of Jewish freedom with about 150 friends of ours at the Rose Schnitzer Manor, all of us together, sharing our traditions with food and song. This year we are making this video for you, our friends at the Rose Schnitzer Manor. You are in our living room and we are in yours. You are in our hearts and we miss you and we hope to see you soon. So please make yourselves comfortable, grab a pillow, sit down, and join us. This is called the Family Haggadah. It's written by Shoshana Silberman. We're going to start by looking at page 5, where there's a picture of the Seder plate. I'm going to tell you what's on the Seder plate, and Jeff will point them out for you on our Seder plate on our table. So I'm looking at page 5 in the Haggadah. There's a beitza, roasted egg, which represents new life and spring. Carpass, parsley, celery, or potato. We have celery. This also represents spring. We have zeroa, a roasted bone. We didn't have a roasted bone, and we tried not to go to the grocery store too often, so I made a bone out of paper bag. It represents the shank bone of a lamb. We have haroset, chopped apples and nuts, just like my mother used to make, with some grape juice or wine, to represent the mortar used to build the pyramids. We have moror, a bitter herb, horseradish, and the second bitter herb that Jeff pointed to was the romaine lettuce, which is the second bitter herb called haroset. And with that, we're going to turn to the page 6. And we have our holiday candles lit here, and we're going to bless them now. The prayer says, "We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy by your mitzvot and commands us to light the festival lights." Please join me if you can. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Yom Tov. And on the bottom of page 6, it says, "We praise you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us alive and well, so that we can celebrate this special time." So please join me in singing Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyamanu Vehigianu lazman hazeh. Thank you. Please look at page 8. The Seder has a special order. We say a kiddush, first cup of wine. We wash our hands. We dip a vegetable in salt water and say the blessing. We break the middle matzah and hide the larger half, the afikomen. We tell the story of Passover, 4 questions, and drink the second cup of wine. We wash our hands and say the blessing. We say the blessings for bread and matzah. We dip the bitter herbs in haroset and say the blessing. We eat a sandwich of matzah and bitter herbs. We eat the festival meal. We eat the afikomen. We say the blessing after the meal, drink a third cup of wine, and welcome Elijah the prophet. We sing songs of praise and drink the fourth cup of wine, and we complete the Seder. Now on page 8, there is a list of all of these things, and I'm going to sing it for you. I'll sing it once, and then Jeff and you will join me. We'll sing it a second time. It goes like this. Kadesh urchatz, carpass yachatz, magid rachza, motzi matzah, moror korech, shulchan orech, tzafun barech, halel nirtza. Now everybody try it, please. Kadesh urchatz, carpass yachatz, magid rachza, motzi matzah, moror korech, shulchan orech, tzafun barech, halel nirtza. Turning to page 10 for the Kiddush. Make sure that you have some grape juice or wine in your cup, and we lift our cups to say the blessing over the first cup of wine. It starts on the bottom of page 10, where it says, "We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine," and then you turn to page 12 for the rest of the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romemanu mikol lashon, v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav. Vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, l'simcha, chagim uzmanim l'sason, et yom chag hamatzot hazeh, zma cherutenu, mikra kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, umadeh kadshecha, v'simcha uv'sason hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has made us holy through your mitzvot and lovingly given us festivals for gladness. You have given us this festival of matzot, celebrations of our freedom, a holy time to recall our going out of Egypt. We praise you, Adonai, who makes holy the people of Israel and the festivals. We're going to say another Shehechianu at the bottom of page 12, and then we will drink the first cup of wine. So please join us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Please turn to page 14. This is where we have reached Urachatz, and we're going to ask Jeff to please wash his hands. Jeff is a family doctor. He washes his hands all the time, and especially now during the corona crisis. So he's an expert. So Jeff will now wash his hands.
All washed.
Thank you, Jeff. Secondly, we dip a vegetable, carpass, into salt water. Now, I hope that you have a little container of salt water on your table and your plate, and you're going to pick up a piece of lettuce or parsley or celery or something green from your plate. You're going to dip it into the salt water, and we're going to sing a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adama, and eat it. Dip it in the salt water. The salt water, of course, reminds us of the tears of the Israelite slaves. Please turn to page 16 for Yachatz. We're going to break the middle matzah. We have a matzah holder here. It was made by our son, Louis Olenick, who is now going to be 35 years old, but he made this when he was 5 or 6, I don't know. It has 3 sections, so you can put 3 matzahs in it. Jeff will take out the middle matzah and break it in half. Then he will put half of it into this lovely matzah cover we have. And it's called the afikomen. This piece of matzah is the afikomen, which is the dessert. And if we were at the Seder in the community, we would hide it. Jeff would hide it, and the children, after dinner, would go look for it and then trade it for a prize. But we're just going to pretend that that happens and do the best that we can. I'm going to sing you a little bit of this song on page 16. It says, Halachma, halachma an yadi achalu, achalu avahatana, be'ara, be'ara de Mitzrayim, be'ara, be'ara de Mitzrayim, kol dichvin yete v'yechol, kol ditzrich yete v'yifsach, hashatacha l'shana haba be'ara de Yisrael, hashata avdei l'shana haba b'nei chorin. Jeff, would you please read, This is the bread of poverty?
This is the bread of poverty, which our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. All who are hungry, come and eat. All who are needy, come and celebrate Passover with us. Now we celebrate here. Next year, may we be in the land of Israel. Now we are slaves. Next year, may we be truly free.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, if you haven't filled your wine glass for a second cup, please do that. We'll be getting to that soon. And we take another piece of matzah. We set aside this matzah as a symbol of hope for all those in the world who are in despair. Some are crushed by poverty and disease, others by tyranny and violence. We pray that their pain will end soon and they will be brought to safety and healing. We dedicate ourselves to relieve suffering in whatever form it takes. Now please turn to page 18. This is where the 4 questions happen. And usually the youngest child in the gathering would chant these questions. In this case, I'm the youngest child because Jeff is about 8 hours older than I am, so that makes me the youngest. I'm going to chant them the way they were chanted in my house when I was a kid first, and then I'll sing it a different way. מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, הלילה הזה מרור. שבכל הלילות אין אנו מטבילין אפילו פעם אחת, הלילה הזה 2 פעמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבין ובין מסובין, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. I'm going to grab my guitar, but while I'm doing that, Jeff, would you please read the English translation for those?
How different this night is from all other nights. On all other nights we eat bread or matzah. On this night, why do we eat only matzah? On all other nights we eat all kinds of vegetables. On this night, why do we eat only moror? On all other nights, we do not have to dip vegetables even once. On this night, why do we dip them twice? On all other nights, we eat our meals sitting any way we like. On this night, why do we lean on pillows?
Now, modern day kids learned another way to sing this song. This is the way it's usually sung in Israel, I think. It goes like this, and you can join in, especially on the chorus, but on the whole thing if you know it. מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. שבכל הלילות אין אנו מטבילין אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה 2 פעמים. הלילה הזה 2 פעמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבין ובין מסובין, בין יושבין ובין מסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. Now we'll spend the rest of the Seder answering those questions. The beginning of it is on the next page, page 20. It starts, Avadim Hayinu, we were slaves. And here's a little song that was taught to us on a record by Theodore Bickel. It says, Avadim Hayinu, ata b'nei chorin. We were slaves, now we're free. Those are the only words in the song. Avadim Hayinu, ata b'nei chorin. Please join Jeff and me in singing Avadim Hayinu. Avadim Hayinu, Hayinu, ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Avadim Hayinu, ata b'nei chorin. Avadim Hayinu, ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. We're still on page 20. Jeff, would you please read This Night is Different from All Other Nights?
This night is different from all other nights because once we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, but Adonai, our God, took us out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. If Adonai had not brought our ancestors out of Egypt, then we and our children and our children's children would still be slaves in the land of Egypt. Even if we know the story well and have told it many times, the more we tell it in great detail, the more we are to be praised. This night is also different because once we worshipped idols, but now we worship only Adonai, the one who is everywhere.
Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Natan Torah Le'amo Yisrael, Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu. Praised be God who is everywhere. Praised be God. Praised be the one who gave the Torah to the people of Israel. Praised be God. We turn now to page 22 for the 4 children. The Torah commands us to teach our children about Passover. The Talmud suggests 4 different ways children might react. Now in our community Seder, we give these parts to people, to residents, to people who are there to read, but since we aren't there and you are, please read with us or just follow along. Jeff and I will trade off on the 4 children. We'll start with Jeff on the wise child.
The wise child might ask, what is the meaning of the laws and rules which Adonai our God has commanded us? We should explain to this child in great detail all the laws and customs of Passover.
The wicked child might ask, what does this service mean to you? Since this child does not want to be included in the celebration, we must answer harshly. We celebrate Passover because of what Adonai did for us. If you had been in Egypt, you would not have been included when Adonai freed us from slavery.
The simple child might ask, what is this all about? We answer simply that with a mighty hand Adonai took us out of Egypt.
What about the child who doesn't know enough to ask a question? We must explain to this child that we observe Passover to remember what Adonai did for us when we were freed from slavery in Egypt. We turn to page 24 for the reading of the story of Passover. Jeff will be reading it for us. You can follow along. You can read it out loud with him, or you can close your eyes and listen. It starts on page 24.
Abraham, the first Jew, came from a family of idol worshippers. He broke with their tradition and became a believer in the one God, who promised him and his wife Sarah that their descendants would become a great people, as numerous as the stars in the sky. God renewed this promise with their son Isaac and his wife Rebekah, and with their son Jacob and his wives Rachel and Leah. God led Abraham and Sarah across the river Euphrates to the land of Israel, then called Canaan, but warned that their descendants would be strangers in a strange land, enslaved for 400 years. Indeed, this prophecy came true. Joseph, the son of Jacob and Rachel, came to live in Egypt after being sold by his jealous brothers to a caravan of merchants. Because of his ability to interpret dreams, he rose to power as an advisor to Pharaoh. Joseph told him to build storehouses and fill them with grain. When years of famine struck, there was still food to eat in Egypt. Pharaoh was so grateful that when Joseph's brothers came in search of food, he invited them to settle in the area called Goshen. Jacob's household, known as Israelites, multiplied greatly and lived peacefully in Egypt. Years later, a new Pharaoh came to rule, who did not remember Joseph and all he had done for the Egyptian people. He feared that the Israelites were becoming too numerous and too powerful, and might side with the enemy if there should be war. This Pharaoh made the Israelites slaves. He forced them to do hard labor, building cities with bricks made from clay and straw. The people knew neither peace nor rest, only misery and pain. The cruelest decree of all was Pharaoh's order that every baby boy born to an Israelite woman be drowned in the river Nile. The midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, feared God and did not do as Pharaoh had ordered, but allowed the infants to live.
Continue on page 26.
One couple, Amram and Yocheved, hid their newborn at home for 3 months. When his cries became too loud, Yocheved placed him in a basket on the river. Their daughter Miriam watched to see what would happen. When the Pharaoh's daughter came to bathe in the river, she discovered the basket. Feeling pity for the helpless child, she decided to keep him as her own and named him Moshe, meaning drawn from the water. Bravely, Miriam asked the princess if she needed a nurse to help with the baby. The princess said yes, and so it happened that Yocheved was able to care for her own son and teach him about his heritage. Moses would have lived at Pharaoh's palace forever, but he could not ignore the suffering of his people. Once, when he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite slave, he was unable to control his anger and he killed the Egyptian. Knowing his life would be in danger once the news of this deed spread, Moses fled to the land of Midian, where he became a shepherd. One day, while tending the sheep on Mount Horeb, Moses saw a bush that seemed to be on fire, but was not burning up. From the bush, he heard God's voice calling him. God said, "I am the God of your ancestors. I have seen the suffering of the Israelites and have heard their cries. I am ready to take them out of Egypt and bring them to a new land, a land flowing with milk and honey." God told Moses to return to Egypt to bring the message of freedom to the Israelites, and to warn Pharaoh that God would bring plagues on the Egyptians if he did not let the slaves go free. Moses was so humble that he could not imagine being God's messenger. "I will be with you," God promised him. With this assurance and challenge, Moses set out for Egypt.
Please turn to page 28. We have arrived at the 10 plagues, which are especially meaningful to us today as we are suffering a literal plague in the whole world. There are 10 plagues here. We take a little bit of wine out of our cup because we are sad about the people who died. With his older brother Aaron as spokesman, Moses went before Pharaoh asking him to free the Israelites. God brought signs and wonders, but Pharaoh remained stubborn. He made the Israelites work even harder. Finally, God brought 10 plagues on the Egyptians. Each one frightened Pharaoh, and each time he promised to free the slaves, but Pharaoh did not keep his word. It was only after the last plague, the death of the firstborn of the Egyptians, that Pharaoh agreed to let the Israelites go. We fill our wine cups to remember our joy in being able to leave Egypt. Yet our happiness is not complete because the Egyptians, who are also God's children, suffered from Pharaoh's evil ways. Therefore we spill a drop of wine from our cups with a finger or spoon as we say each plague. I'm going to take this little fork and use the back of it. I'm going to recite the plagues in Hebrew. Jeff will say them in English, and each time we'll take a little bit of wine out of the cup and put it on our plate. So we start with the first one. Dam.
Blood.
Tzfardea.
Frogs.
Kinim.
Lice.
Arov.
Beasts.
Dever.
Cattle disease.
Shechin.
Boils.
Barad.
Hail.
Arbe.
Locusts.
Choshech.
Darkness.
Makat Bechorot.
Plague of the firstborn.
Please turn to page 30. Jeff, would you read this crossing the sea part at the top?
Soon after Pharaoh let the Israelites leave Egypt, he regretted his decision and ordered his army to bring them back. his soldiers caught up with the Israelites by the banks of the Sea of Reeds. When they saw the Egyptians, they were afraid and cried out. God told Moses to raise his staff. When he did, a strong east wind drove back the sea, leaving space for the Israelites to go across on dry land. The Egyptians came after them into the sea. Moses again raised his staff, and the waters rushed back, covering the Egyptians and their horses and chariots. Then Moses' sister Miriam led the women in joyous dance and song, thanking God for saving their lives. Thus Adonai our God brought us out of Egypt, not by an angel, nor a seraph, nor a messenger, but alone, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with great terror, and with signs and wonders.
On the bottom of page 30, we have God's promise. I'm going to read you the translation first from a different Haggadah, the Goldberg Haggadah, because I like the translation. It's a little bit closer to the literal translation of Vehisha Amda. It says this: "This promise, made to our ancestors, holds true also for us. For more than once have they risen against us to destroy us. In every generation some rise against us and seek our destruction. But the Holy One, blessed be God, saves us from their hands." Now Jeff and I will sing Vehisha Amda, which is pretty much the crux of the whole thing, that we must remember that in every generation there are people who wish to destroy us, and God's hand always saves us. So this is Vehisha Amda. Vehisha Amda, Vehisha Amda, Lavoteinu velanu. Vehisha Amda, Vehisha Amda, Lavoteinu velanu. Shelo echad bilvad, Amad aleinu lechalotenu, Ela shebechol dor vador, Omdim aleinu lechalotenu, V'hakadosh Baruch Hu, Matzilenu mi'adam. V'hakadosh Baruch Hu, Matzilenu mi'adam. Turn to page 32 for Dayenu. I'm going to grab my guitar. This says, Adonai has shown our people so many acts of kindness. For each one we say Dayenu, meaning that would have been enough. For that alone we are grateful. But God did so many things for us, and we're grateful for all of them. Some people in some Haggadahs at some Seders sing verse after verse, page after page of Dayenu, but we're just going to do this short version on page 32. Hopefully you all know it and will join in. Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Ilu natan natan lanu et hashabat natan lanu et hashabat Dayenu, 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 Ilu natan natan lanu et katorah natan lanu et katorah Dayenu, 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 Jeff, would you please turn to page 34 and read to us about Rabbi Gamliel?
The Passover symbols. Rabbi Gamliel said that in telling the story of the Exodus, we must explain the meaning of the three most important symbols. Without this explanation, our celebration is incomplete. Pesach. The roasted bone is called the Pesach. It recalls the lamb our ancestors sacrificed and ate in the days of the temple. As a symbol on our Seder plate, it reminds us that during the 10th plague, Adonai passed over the homes of the Israelites and spared their firstborn. Matzah. We eat matzah to remind us of how our ancestors had to leave Egypt in such haste that the dough for their bread did not have time to rise. Moror. We eat this moror to remind us of how bitter the Egyptians made the lives of our ancestors by forcing them to be slaves.
Please turn to page 36. Bechol dor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo keilu yatsa mimitzrayim. Bechol dor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo keilu yatsa mimitzrayim. Keilu yatsa mimitzrayim. In every generation, everyone must think of himself or herself as having personally left Egypt. We have reached Hallel, songs of praise. Lift your cup, but don't drink. It is our duty to give thanks, sing praises, and offer blessings to the Holy One, who did these miracles for our ancestors and for us, for bringing us from slavery to freedom, from sadness to joy, from darkness to light. ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה. Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, 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 et Shem Adonai, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'ad olam, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'ad olam. Give praise to Adonai, sing praises, those who serve Adonai. Blessed is the name of Adonai, now and forever. Please turn to page 38. V'tzeiti Yisrael mi Mitzrayim, Beit Yaakov me'am lo'ez. When the people of Israel left Egypt, they became God's people. The sea fled at the sight, and the river Jordan turned backwards. Mountains skipped like rams, and all of nature trembled in the presence of the Holy One. Lift your wine cup for the second cup of wine. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has freed us and our ancestors from Egypt and brought us here this night to eat matzah and moror. Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, help us celebrate future holidays and festivals, in peace and in joy and in health. Then we will thank you with a new song. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, Adonai, our God, who has freed the people of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. On page 40, we have ratzah, the second washing of the hands, and this time there will be a blessing. Jeff?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Thank you, Jeff. We are ready to bless the matzah with two blessings. Motzi matzah in the middle of page 40. First, everybody needs to take a little piece of matzah. Take some and pass it if you have someone there with you. Otherwise, just take a piece for yourself. And we say the first blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And the second blessing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy by your mitzvot and commands us to eat matzah. On page 42, as I swallow my matzah, we say a blessing for moror. We dip the moror into haroset to recall that our ancestors were able to withstand the bitterness of slavery because it was sweetened by the hope of freedom. Okay, I'm going to chant the blessing over the moror, and then we'll take a piece of horseradish, or a little bit of horseradish and a little bit of haroset, and eat it. Here's the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat maror. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy by your mitzvot and commands us to eat maror. Now we have korech. We eat a sandwich of matzah and maror. On Passover, in the days of the temple in Jerusalem, Rabbi Hillel would eat a sandwich made of the Pesach, lamb offering, matzah and maror. Now we do not bring sacrifices to the temple, so our sandwich is made only with matzah and maror. So you take a little piece of matzah, break it in half, put some haroset and a little bit of moror on it, and take a bite. And with that, we are ready to take a break so that we can have Shulchan Orech, which is the big holiday meal. Your meals will be arriving at your door, so you can take a break, go find out if your meal is there, bring it in and eat it, enjoy it, And we will be back with you when you're done to say the blessing after the meal and finish the Seder.
And find the afikomen.
And find the afikomen. And maybe there will be more songs at the end of the Seder. So we're wishing you a happy holiday, such as it is, and we'll be back soon. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land, tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll strike your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Hello, I hope you had a wonderful meal. If you're still eating, that's okay. Nobody will know. We are on page 44 in the Haggadah. This is normally when we would let the children go running around and looking for the afikomen. But since we don't have any children here and there's no running around happening, Jeff made a little video, which you can see on your screen. It takes about 30 seconds, and you can look and see if you can find the afikomen. And then after that, we will sing the blessing after the meal. Hotzianu, Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Ilu Natan, Natan Lanu, Natan Lanu, et HaShabbat, Natan Lanu, et HaShabbat, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. On page 44, in the middle of the page, we have the Birkat HaMazon. This is the short version, and I'm going to sing it for you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hazan et haolam kulo b'tuvo, b'chein b'chesed u'vrachamim. Hu noten lechem lechol basar, ki leolam chasdo, uv'tuvo hagadol, Tamid lo chasar lanu ve'al yachsar lanu mazon leolam vaed ba'avur shemo hagadol ki hu el zanum farnes lakol umetiv lakol umechin mazon lechol briotav asher bara Baruch atah Adonai Hazan et hakol. Ose shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who in goodness, mercy, and kindness gives food to the world. Your love for us endures forever. We praise you, Adonai, who provides food for all life. May the Holy One who makes peace in the heavens make peace for us, for Israel, and for all the world. Please make sure you have another cup of wine or grape juice. On page 48, we're going to bless the third cup and drink it, and then we're going to welcome Elijah, who has a cup of wine here specially for him. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Third cup of wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Now this cup is for Elijah. Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet. We open our front door to greet our honored guest and invite him to join our Seder. We pray that he will return to us, bringing a time of peace and freedom and no more virus. We're a little hesitant to invite Elijah into our house because he's gone all over the world to everyone's houses, and I hope he hasn't picked up the virus to share with us. But we will trust that he hasn't, and since it's just a symbolic Elijah, we welcome him into our house, and we will sing together Eliyahu Hanavi on the bottom of page 48. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera v'yamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. May Elijah the prophet come to us quickly and in our day, bringing the time of the Messiah. We're turning to page 54. We're going to sing Adir Hu, which is about the attributes of God, the many, many attributes of God, and they're in alphabetical order in the Hebrew alphabet. So this is Adir Hu. Adir Hu, Adir Hu, Yivne Veito Bekarov, Bimhera, Bimhera, V'yamenu Bekarov, El B'nei, B'nei Vecha Bekarov, Bachur Hu, Gadol Hu, Dagul Hu, Yivne Veito Bekarov, Bimhera, Bimhera, B'yamenu Bekarov, El B'nei, B'nei Vecha Bekarov, Hadur Hu, Vatik Hu, Zakai Hu, Chasid Hu, Yivne Veito Bekarov, Bimhera, Bimhera, B'yamenu Bekarov, El B'nei, B'nei Vecha Bekarov, Tahor Hu, Yachid Hu, Kabir Hu, Lamud Hu, Melech Hu, Norah Hu, Sagiv Hu, Izuz hu, podeh hu, tzadik hu, yivne veto bekarov, bimhera, bimhera, v'yamenu bekarov, el b'nei, b'nei vecha bekarov, kadosh hu, rachum hu, shaddai hu, takif hu, yivne veto bekarov, bimhera, bimhera, v'yamenu bekarov, el b'nei, b'nei vecha bekarov. The second song that it says we're going to sing is Chad Gadya. Chad Gadya is on page 59. It's about one little goat that my father bought for 2 zuzim. One little goat, one little goat. I'm going to just sing the first 2 verses of Chad Gadya. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya, di zabina babitre zuze Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya, ve'ata shun raviacha legadya, di zabina babitre zuze Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. It's a long song. That's all we're going to do. We're going to thank everyone who helped make this Seder possible. I want to thank all of you who are watching. I'm sorry that we can't all be together in the big, beautiful sanctuary where we love to have our Passover Seder, but we need to be safe, and we want you to be safe, and we hope we will see you soon. We're going to turn to page 60. You have to have a glass of wine for our 4th cup of wine as we prepare to complete the Seder. And this is the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Chasal sidur Pesach kehilchato, kechol mishpato v'chukato, ka'asher zachinu l'sader oto, ka'asher zachinu l'sader oto, kenizke la'asoto. Our Seder is now completed. May our service be acceptable to you, Adonai, our God, and may we be granted the blessing of celebrating Pesach for many years to come. Pure and Holy One, dwelling on high, raise up your people with love and lead us to Zion in joyful song. Next year in Jerusalem. L'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a beYerushalayim, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a be'eretz Yisrael, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a beYerushalayim, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a, l'shana haba'a be'eretz Yisrael. I'm going to finish the Seder singing 2 songs that you will sing with me. Usually I would stand for both of these songs, but because of our recording capabilities here, we're not going to stand. I hope that you will understand and forgive us. We're going to sing God Bless America and Hatikva. I don't know if you have a program that has the words on the back or not, but I hope that you know these songs and can just sing them with us. This is God Bless America by Irving Berlin. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. And I'd like to sing Hatikva. Join me if you can. Kol od balevav penima, nefesh Yehudi homiya, lefate mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia, od lo avda tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot am chofshi be'arzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim, liot am chofshi be'arzenu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. That ends our Seder. Wishing you all a happy Passover. Hoping for renewed freedom for all of us when this virus is over. And hope to see you in person later this year and next year.
Chag Sameach.
Good Yontif and happy Passover.